Welcome to the Lynn and Scott Show. I'm Lynn Serrano with
Scott Jones. Thanks for joining us here, the Lynn, Scott, and Friends Show. And we've got our friends Kellen Ann, Rex Sikes, Barry Selby. We've got a lot of people that jump in and out, but we're always glad you guys show up, and thank you so much.
Well, we are excited to be here. And Kellen, we're glad you're back, like on time. I'm just grateful.
I thought we were past that.
We are past that, but I'm just saying I'm grateful that you're here. And we got to spend. Grateful. Yeah, speaking of grateful.
There we go. And hey, let's start out with a couple of congratulations. Kellen, first of all, you're killing it at your improv class, so congratulations for that.
Yay!
That is just awesome. Lynn, you passed you got your certificate, your license.
Yeah.
What was
yes.
it? A license?
The license to steal.
Yes. Well, we'll just leave it at that, I guess. No. You kidding? I got fingerprinted and everything. What are you talking about?
Wow. That again?
Yeah, again. So.
Yeah, I tried to get clearance one time. They had to fingerprint me to get it like a background check, and it took 2 hours for all of them to stop laughing. So
no, I kind of laughed because they tried to tell me it was going to take like 2 or 3 weeks to get my fingerprints back and stuff, and I'm thinking, wait a second. So you get somebody's fingerprints, their background, and everything. If you're looking for somebody, shoot, they'd be gone states to states, countries to countries. I mean, what the heck? Everything's.
Go ahead.
No, just
go
ahead.
Keep going.
I was just laughing because I was like, everything's been modernized, but heaven forbid somebody willingly give fingerprints and do background check, and it's going to take you that long to find out that they're not a criminal or something. I don't know. Just thought it was funny.
It's amazing because we get fingerprinted or have background checks done for different kinds of consulting or different kinds of work that's been done, depending on who you're working for and what. But I did a TV show where I played a killer, but it was based on a real event. So I'm dealing with the actual homicide detectives, and they wanted to swab me and take my fingerprints on camera. And I'm like, what are you going to do with these? You are going to destroy them. You're not going to put the DNA. And he was like, oh, yeah, no. I'm like, no, I'm serious. Are you? No. I go, can I have them? Because I want to know that you're not. What if they end up in somebody's, plan?
Yeah, lock for evidence for something.
So, but I'm reluctant to put my thumbprint, my fingerprint on the phone for those very reasons, because you just never know. But yeah, I mean, you're they want to know that you're you, and that they can track you in case you commit any crime. So
right. So
I always wear rubber gloves.
And she's.
That's an untoppable statement.
Yeah, I'm like, I was going to ask about what for.
I put rubber gloves on my rubber gloves. I mean,
you never know.
Apparently not.
See, I'm just naturally funny.
Yes,
it's like, are there a lot of openings in that field?
Yeah,
the rubber glove field.
Use of them.
Speaking of rubber gloves, I'm thankful for you guys.
Yeah, we're thankful for you too.
Because we're the Rubber Glove Club, what?
I was just trying to do a
speak for yourself there, Barry.
Segue, I didn't know where it was going.
A glove held just right looks like what, a rooster or a turkey?
A turkey.
A turkey.
And given the theme of what Kellen's talking.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There we go. You don't need rubber gloves. Just do what I used to do with my first wife. We used to sit and watch TV, and I'd sit there filing my fingerprints off while we were watching TV. And it's just, she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Getting rid of the fingerprints because I just don't know how much I like you at this point." So it was the easiest way to get out of the marriage. It was really easy.
But no fingerprint is still a fingerprint, right?
Yeah, right.
That's why the smart ones use super glue.
And there you go.
And they don't understand. They're filed by no fingerprints to the lots of fingerprints, right? So they're always the first ones to find.
It'd be easier to find you.
Exactly.
Because you would match everybody who doesn't have fingerprints.
I wonder how many people don't have fingerprints.
Welcome to our new show, How to Get Away with It.
Have you ever seen that meme that goes around where they show you a half a fingerprint and half a tree stump?
Yes.
Mhm.
And
And your point is,
You can be born without fingerprints.
Oh, you're doing research now, huh?
Yeah.
well, there are people born without brains and they're still walking around.
that's true.
And someone gets into
And that's
politics.
why we call it the
Scott
White House.
raises
No,
his
just
hand
kidding.
and you were like, that's me, that's me.
And that's why we call it the White House. But no, they're just kidding.
Oh boy.
Well, the turkey is the symbol of our country.
What is?
I mean,
not
think
eagle?
about that for a second.
No, the eagle.
Well,
No.
they say the eagle, but you know, it's
Do
really.
you guys remember that? Was it?
How often do you
Benjamin
celebrate-
Franklin.
Where do you
Benjamin
celebrate
Franklin
eagles?
wanted the turkey to be our national bird. It almost was our national bird. You know, but-
WKRP in Cincinnati. Remember Les Nesbitt when he dumped all the turkeys out?
Yes.
No, you're not, Lynn.
Check her fingerprint.
I
See
can.
if it's really her.
That was such a funny episode.
Okay, and I'm glad
I'm
you're
sorry.
here. He's a
You guys
former-
probably wish I were back performing tonight.
No, we're glad you're
No,
here.
no, bring the good stuff here. Bring the good stuff here.
All right, so should we start the show now?
Let's start the show.
yeah. We didn't have enough pre-show beforehand, so we had to do it during the live show.
Yeah, there
So
we go.
now those watching know what the pre-show is like. Not as much fun as the show.
Do you
Yeah,
remember?
there you go.
But do you remember George Carlin's stuff about a preheated oven? It's either heated or it's not heated. It's never
Yes.
preheated. Well, so like a pre-show before the show.
Right.
Yeah,
That's exactly the
That actually kind of works. But
yeah.
I get the rest.
The great George Carlin.
Oh,
George
he was
Carlin.
awesome.
He really was.
And his daughter Kelly is a friend of mine, and she's done a one-man show or one-woman show in honor of him growing up as George's daughter. And she's
Aw.
also, in her own right, becoming a speaker, dedicated to inspiration and other things. She's quite a talent and a wonderful person in her own right.
Does
Oh,
she
nice.
share some of his unique look at life and stuff like that? Because he had a great way of looking at things and finding the absurdity in life, I think.
Well, he always said that he tried to look at it from a great distance and to, so that he wasn't part of the stuff that's going on, but as if, like an alien or God were looking at us, and then make his commentary based on that about the follies that we engage in. And for him, it worked. And of course, he had that angry man persona. He developed that, and it truly worked for him. Back in the 80s, I was using Carlin and another good friend of mine is Emo Phillips and Richard Jenny, who sadly, left us, and different people, and was teaching the structure of comedy and presentation skills. And to me, Carlin was one of those, at that time, I said, our philosophers of the day are comedians. They have a way of getting us to look at stuff. And this idea has since, whether I, had anything to do with originating it, this idea has then taken hold because people understand that to be able to look at the world and make a comic commentary on it requires a different level of thinking than most people. So to make something funny by pointing out the folly that we live with, or the tragedies that we live with, is truly a remarkable gift.
Absolutely.
UPS delivery.
Brilliant man. He did a routine one time about, how selfish we are, and how when you get the new loaf of bread, you reach past the first few slices to get the two perfect pieces in the middle. And he says, to hell with my family. They can eat the ends of the bread. I'm going for the middle and getting the two perfect slices. And when he said it, it was so absurd but I'm like, everybody does that, but nobody would ever say that. And the way he would say things is just brilliant. But hey, we're here to talk about gratitude. And I know we've done shows about being grateful before and some other things, but it is Thanksgiving. It's kind of, let's talk about the absurd, is that we live in a society where we have to pick one day a year where we're going to celebrate gratitude instead of making that the norm. We're going to make that one day a year.
Yeah, 364 days we can be curmudgeons and assholes, but the rest of it, one day we get to say thanks.
Yeah.
And then we get together and then argue politics and religion around a table where everybody then goes home feeling shitty.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're talking about. Exactly.
I think my favorite part is I cook for 2 days. I'm starting cooking tomorrow, and then I'll be cooking all day Thursday, and then everybody's going to show up. We're going to eat for 20 minutes, then walk away from the table. 2 days of cooking for 20 minutes of eating.
But that gives you a lot of room to bitch, right? And be ungrateful.
Yeah.
So if the audience is wondering why we're starting with complaints, it's just to set a norm.
Yes.
So that we can transcend.
Elevate in there.
We've got the baseline.
Yeah.
We're creating the baseline for the human condition. This is the human condition. The baseline is everything sucks. Fuck my life. This is everything. This is all there is, right? And it's like what's that?
It says preparing you for Thursday because some family members will be doing that all day long.
You'll be bitching about the football, and you'll be bitching about this. I'm hungry, and I've been starving all day, so I can.
But I understand the Packers are playing on Thanksgiving, I believe.
They're playing Detroit at 12:30.
Well, there you go. There you go. Can you imagine a worse name for a football team than Packers? I mean, it may conjure up a whole lot of things, but just the idea of packing stuff versus their Lions. There's Eagles,
there's Bengals,
there's Bears, and then there's the Packers.
They're busy packing.
Well, the Buffalo Bills was an unfortunate name when they were having financial troubles. But
hey Rex or hey Mo.
Hey Mo, I love Mo Rock.
What do you have to do to get Mo to love you?
I know.
I don't have to do anything. I'm just naturally lovable.
He never says hi to me anymore, but that's okay. I still love you, Mo.
If you're going to tell us something, Rex, make it believable.
I love you, Mindy.
There we go.
Point, set, match.
Boom. Well, we're grateful that Mo stopped by, Mr. LA Tribune.
Grateful for Ken,
Mo,
Mindy.
Oh yeah, no. I just going to say Mo is doing some really impressive things for the
Tribune. Yes, he is. He has a TED Talk
and rocking it, and he's speaking all over the place. Good things are going on.
Absolutely.
I'm very proud of Mo. No, but
yes.
Seriously, he's really cutting a path and making a difference in the world.
Absolutely. Excellent. And he's got a TED Talk going on.
I'm proud of him too, even though he won't return any of my messages.
Yeah.
we deliver love with underhanded compliments.
Yes, we do. That's what we do here. We're just grateful over here. And you know what? He's probably not even watching anymore. He's going to the next thing anyhow. So
undoubtedly he's gone.
That's right. He's gone. We can keep talking about him. Anyways,
that's like I love you, but you need a haircut.
Yeah, and no, it's and not you know.
And
no,
helps soften it, but dismisses it. Yes.
Yeah. But dismisses it. I love that.
Or you could on Thanksgiving just say, love your butt and start the conversation that way.
Did you say love your butt?
Yes.
I have headphones in because I'm not where I normally am, and so I just wanted to make sure you said love your butt.
You heard it right. Yes, you heard it right.
He had nipples in.
You're taking nipples in, but you love your butts. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I think I'm gonna go.
Coward.
We're just getting started here. What are you talking about? Oh my gosh, I love you all. Live show, yes. Live show.
We should point out though that part of feeling good and Thanksgiving and loving life is the ability to laugh.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And the best way to do that is don't take yourself so seriously. Don't make every idea in your head the end all and be all of existence. Just stay open, stay young. I mean, enjoy yourself a little bit. Again, it really is a shame. It really is a shame that we've got to create like every day should be Christmas. Well, and they're like, Christmas is coming. Every day's like Christmas, and Christmas is. Why isn't every day just good? Why don't we just do that? Why do we have to set aside special times? Now, I love like Veterans Day and paying good attention and saying thank you to our vets, but shouldn't we be saying thank you every day?
Every time you meet a vet.
to thank a vet, to thank a first responder. We should be doing it. It's almost a shame that we set aside days for these specific activities, and gratitude should be something you should be living in every day. That's my opinion. I don't get to like make that decision for other people. So when
wait
I say,
wait a second. Whose else's opinion would it have been if it weren't?
It was, well,
Hey,
yeah,
Ben.
Ben Gay.
Ben Gay. Love Ben Gay.
Absolutely.
Great guy. But
Ben
no,
is
you're
another one of these powerhouse guys who,
Yes.
people just got to get to know Ben.
Absolutely.
If you don't know him, you got to get to know who he is.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to say he and I are doing a program together coming up soon. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Gonna have to get you guys on the BS. Lynn's BS show is coming up here soon. Now that I'm done studying really hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're absolutely right, Scott. As far as people forget that every day when you meet with somebody new or you encounter somebody, we have the opportunity to, either be negative or positive. And Rex, this is the epitome of Rex is always, we have a choice. And the choice is, why don't you pick the best choice instead of the shitty choice? Because, you have a choice, and the best choice you pick is, and he's got some things here, celebrate everything, and he's got also here, dog poop or diamonds, you choose. So, and then like we got the love doctor here, and he's learned from his mistakes,
Oh, yeah.
And his mistakes is the blessing for other people, because he teaches you not to fall down in those pitfalls, and we've got Miss, she knows how to wag more, and she knows how to be a comedian now. So I mean, we just live and learn, and we're so grateful. And then Mindy says here, Ben Gay works well on my right knee.
Rare right now.
Oh, but anyways,
lucky Ben.
Oh, you want to read that, Scott?
Ken says, take a little time for yourself. Take a little walk Thursday morning. Say a prayer for your kids, and Shriners, folks who don't have anyone. Yeah,
for sure.
There are so many people out there. I mean, I guess we've all had that where it's like, hey, things could always be worse. Or, the guy who complains about not having shoes, and the next guy doesn't have feet, and you can do all that stuff.
Right.
The bottom line is, I think it starts with kind of the family and teaching your children to have gratitude for all the wonderful things that they have all the time. And we live in a society now where it's I want, and that even we're feeding that all the way down to the kids. The ads are all aimed at the kids. If you don't have this bike, if you don't have this or this, that, or this video game or this phone, you're not good. And, we've kind of missed that whole thing about, just finding joy in everyday things and in people. And, hopefully we can get back to that. But I'd really like to do is kind of go around and let everybody talk a little bit about what gratitude means to them. And, is it something that is important in your life, and has it helped you in your life, living a life in gratitude? So, Kellen, why don't you start us off? Because, we usually save you for later, but I'd rather kind of get your stuff out of the way fast so we can get to the other stuff. No, I'm kidding.
I'm glad you picked me,
Put your
because
crown on and go to town, baby.
I've created my whole life around gratitude. So
you really have.
That. And so I have this gratitude journal that I made, and I just opened it up. And this is what, there's little quotes on the bottom. It says, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Right?
Ooh. Very good.
Did you write that?
No.
Oh,
I wish I had. I wish I had. But I'm just saying that it's true. I mean, I every Monday I have my gratitude Monday. I write a thank you card to somebody who's inspired me, or who I think maybe needs lifting. And I don't just write thank you cards on Mondays. I mean, I'm constantly thanking people and letting them know how special they are to me. And even though it makes them feel good, I feel amazing because they've touched me, and I feel like I'm doing good to the world somehow, one handwritten note at a time. So yes, it's part of my daily life. have my journal. It says, today I'm grateful for, and I have a list of things that I say that I'm grateful for. And then it says, today I will send gratitude to. So whether it doesn't necessarily have to be a handwritten note. I can call somebody, I can email somebody, I can smile at somebody on the street. You know, it's just, but I make sure that I send gratitude to somebody every day. So that's how gratitude is pretty much my life.
I love
that.
her.
Is awesome. That is awesome. Now, I got to ask you, though, was that always the case for you, or was that something you developed through, whatever, trial and error or whatever it might be?
No, it was when I was at my lowest and miserable and hated life, and I hated my job, and I hated everything, every aspect of my life. And like I talked to a couple of you on shows that during COVID, I took the time to reinvent myself and determine what was the one thing that, because I was highly successful at almost everything I did, but I was miserable. And I thought something's out of alignment. But the one thing that I did consistently was show gratitude and write thank you notes. And then I realized that I could create a whole business around that. And I love what I do now. So
that's brilliant. That is brilliant.
Love it. Mr. Rex.
Well, gratitude is one of those things that, just transforms everything once you start to practice it. The idea that, expressing appreciation, when you do, it in itself appreciates, it exponentially increases, like compounding interest. The interesting thing for most people is just to be grateful for anything and everything, and a lot of people will go, well, what am I supposed to be thankful for? Anything. Be thankful that you have feet, be thankful that, you're sitting on a chair, that you have a chair, that you have a roof, that, whatever. But here's where I think transformation really occurs, is when you are grateful for everything. That's why I say celebrate everything, because, people get selective. Well, I'm thankful for my family, but I'm not thankful for the neighbors because they're assholes. No, the neighbors are a more important gift to you in some ways than your family, because they're the ones who, by fault or on purpose or otherwise accidentally, are the ones who, wherever you feel emotions that are not acceptable for you, whether they're sadness or fear or anger or whatever, that's an opportunity for you to release them. So they're there as a gift to help you awaken. The events and circumstances in your life that are the most troublesome are there to help you get out of your comfort zone and move forward, so that you don't die like a slug, in the sun on a stone, because we get into our comfort zones and we don't do anything because they're comfort zones and they're habits and they're the default settings. So all of the tumultuous, events and circumstances and bad things happening, which we call bad things, those are the things to truly be grateful for. Because when you can be grateful for them, then life is completely transformed for you. Because if you can be grateful for the stuff that sucks, then it's easy to be grateful for the stuff that, is great and rocks and that you love. I mean, so the real practice of gratitude is to exude joy and gratefulness and appreciation for everything. That's why this is the day the Lord has made, rejoice and be glad, is not saying, rejoice and be glad in part of it. Right. This day, whatever the day brings, be glad, celebrate it and express. Now, I know people will say, well, that's easier said than done. Okay. Next excuse, next reason why not to do something. Next what? I mean, okay. So what's the alternative? Learn to transform and have an incredible life, or go, yes, well, that's easier said than done, and do nothing about it, which means you're staying in your default, comfort zone and not willing to leave. So whether it's easier said than done, or it's done easier than you think it is, you will never know until you actually decide to do it.
Well, Rex, you also get the people, and I'm sure you've run into them and probably dealt with them, that it's like, well, let me give you a list of the things you can't be grateful for. You can't be grateful for illness or for this or for that. And it's like, it always baffles me. I'm thinking, how many good things did you skip over to find those negative things? How many positive things did you have to push aside so you could point out that one negative thing? And it's like, no, I'm not grateful that I'm sick when I get sick, but I am grateful that I have the ability to take care of myself. I'm grateful. So it might not be, oh, thank God I got sick, but more like, thank God I have the ability to heal.
Well,
or at least I've got the ability to try.
No, you're absolutely right. But or thank God that this is causing me to slow down and begin to look and to examine and to learn and to discover how I can manage my health better or my attitude or whatever it is. So through this illness, I know good things will come about, even though I may be uncomfortable with the illness. So, and this discomfort is getting my attention, which I may never ever have given. So, but what I love you said is how many things they skip over in order to come up with the reasons why they can't be something.
Right.
Yeah.
You say you can be happy about everything. You go, no, you can't. Okay. All right. Then it always amazes me that people say, well, you can't be positive all the time. Or now they say there's toxic positivity.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. Toxic positivity. I mean, come on. You can be too positive.
Go back to the sickness thing. You thank goodness my body gave me this sign instead of just quitting.
Well, yeah, and not only that, it brought it to your attention so that you could helpfully resolve it. Otherwise, it'd just be a silent killer.
Right.
So there's a lot of good that you can find if you're just willing to find it and emphasize it. Job said, "The thing I feared, I brought upon myself." So the alternative is, if what you think about you bring about, and power and energy follows where your attention is, and you go, well, you can't be happy about everything. Well, then you're putting your power, your energy onto that thing, and it expands and it grows. Withdraw yourself from that. Learn how to be different. Wake yourself up.
Yeah.
It almost seems there's. I deal with addiction in everyday life. One of the things that surprises me most about the human condition is our propensity to become addicted to negativity and to bad things. It's like, if I don't have a crisis, I'm not complete. I need crisis. I need a problem. It's like, hey, you just won a lottery for $1 million. Oh, shit. You know how much they're going to tax me on that?
Yeah, exactly.
And it probably, the guy who probably delivered the $1 million check probably had COVID anyway. And I'm probably, you could go on and on. But people live in that zone. But it's an absolute choice. I just don't. It is an absolute choice to decide that's what I want to focus on. You could focus on other things if you wanted to, but you don't want to.
I want to share something along the lines of what you just said, because it's important, and it's a true confession. Earlier in my life, I was surrounded by a lot of people who are very famous, very rich, very, very influential, very powerful, and I would be in their homes, their mansions, their palaces. I'd be hanging out with them. People go, wow, you're really lucky, to be able to do that. And on the one hand, I would go, yeah, I am. On the other hand, I would go, yeah, but you don't want what they have. That was what I kept walking away with. These guys have everything. These gals have everything, but they're not happy. And they've got these entourages, and they got this responsibility, and they're in some ways busier than ever. They've got stalkers. They've got lawsuits. They've got all this stuff. And I went, geez, I don't want anything to do with any of that. I want to have millions of dollars, but I want to lie in a hammock in the beach.
Yeah.
And sip coconut, juice and stuff like that. I don't want that lifestyle. And so subsequently, I didn't get that lifestyle. So What I'm saying is a lot of people shut things out because they look at stuff and they look at the negative side. Some of those people who have all of that stuff are deliriously happy that they have all the money and the riches, because they can be philanthropic and they can go through their day without ever worrying about that they're making a dollar, because they know their money's generating massive wealth for them while they do what they want to do. So everything is about the attitude and what decisions you make in life and where you kind of parse yourself. You fall out on the side of this is unglorious and sucks, or this is wonderful and glorious and I can make the best of it.
Well, you know what they say, the grass is always greener where the septic tank is buried. So it's all that shit grows really good grass. That's just the way things are. Barry, what do you think about all this, buddy?
Oh my God, for the septic tank? Thank you so much.
Either that or horse and manure, so you can pick.
No, quite a couple of things. One is something that Rex said that really reminded me of something, which is basically the suffering or the experience of challenge oftentimes for people is something they want to avoid and get away from. That's why when you get people get a pain, they take a painkiller rather than facing the pain or even being so crazy as to actually ask the pain why it's there. Because as crazy as it sounds, If you're willing to find out what is causing the issue in the first place, you can change your condition. But it takes effort, it takes willingness, and it takes being in the place of being in the pain for more than a couple of seconds. But so many people will reach for the aspirin right away or reach for something else to avoid stuff, which is unfortunate. So part of it is that's one of the issues. The second piece is, and this came up earlier, about happiness, is the question is, are happy people more grateful or are grateful people more happy? Because frankly, they go together really well. So you can play with that piece too. But being about relationships, one of the things I also be aware of is, and we talked about this a bit in the room, about being grateful for yourself. But how many people wants to get into a long-term relationship forget to be grateful to their partner every day for any reason? The fact they came home that day, the fact that you had experience with them, the fact that you got a hug from them. There's so many things that we can be grateful for, but we just forget about that stuff because we've gotten used to it. That's the other part. We go unconscious because it becomes familiar and easy and repetitive. And we don't actually go into a place of like, oh, another day where I get to love this person. What a great gift that is.
Right.
So if people chose relationships from that perspective, boy, that could change a lot of people from having divorces and breakups. But we're not usually doing that. So that simple fix, so to speak, can be transformational in your relationships. Any relationship, not just romantic. But if you, this is the fun part. Because talk about, if you're thinking Revolve, go home for Thanksgiving, to quote somebody, I keep misplacing who it is, it's Bradshaw or the other one. It went in my head. But the thing about it's like going home for Thanksgiving for some people is really challenging. Can you be grateful to the person who's challenged you the most at the table? When you find something in your heart to thank them for, because that will start to diffuse the bomb that's sitting in front of you as well. Because some people go home for Thanksgiving and it's the most challenging time of the year because it's the one time of year they're going to meet a certain relative or a certain member of the family that is always their most challenged person. I won't say hated, but most challenged person. If you can be grateful for them and grateful to them and say it out loud, you could transform all the relationships around you. So I'm passionate about gratitude being a useful skill. Yes, I don't have it right now, but I used to have a gratitude jar I used to fill up all the time by putting at least 3-5 things every day that I'm grateful for. I don't do it physically, do it internally. But like, yes, just a little quick story. This is the week of Thanksgiving. Going to Costco this week is a nightmare. I know that. But I went early yesterday morning before it opened. I got in the line to get gas, the fastest I've ever been through the gas line. Then went into the store right at it opened and like 25 people in front of me. I was in and out the door in 10 minutes. That never happens. But wow. I was so grateful because I just thought, well, if I go early, maybe it'll be easier. And it was easy. So this was realizing you can do simple things and make it easy. So I was grateful for that.
But what I love about what you just said is, there's a saying, and it's based on actually ancient thought leaders. Elsie Benedict said it. Hill said it. Hanel said that chance or the universe favors a prepared mind. So when you're prepared, like the Boy Scout motto, Girl Scout motto, always be prepared. You go, hey, and you planned to go there before, so you're not caught in the stuff. I mean, that's preparation that you did that got you a good result. So bravo, very cool.
Yeah, the funny thing was, just to make it even more clarity, is that a friend of mine who's right now, came out of surgery, so she's in a wheelchair right now. She had to go to Costco today, and I knew what was going to happen. Trying to get parked was a nightmare. Getting in and out was a nightmare. But the great thing is that we had fun doing it. And that's another part too, thinking about joy and happiness. Because it could have been a nightmare. And I saw people around in the lines looking so depressed and so frustrated. I'm like, you're actually spending money to have things in your life that other people can't afford. Can't you be happy about that? So for me, like you can make any circumstance, like Rick was saying, you can make any circumstance something to be happy and joyful and thankful for. It's a choice. Always a choice.
You're too toxically positive.
I know. I'm actually having a physical reaction to your positivity here.
Actually, me too.
That thing about toxic positivity, I've heard that term thrown around as well, because the toxicity is used a lot in language. But the thing about positivity is some people are positive, but they're not backing it up with truth. So there are people who are basically saying everything's perfect, everything's great. Well, it's like, but they're faking it. There's some part of that that feels to me like it's a fallacy or it's a falsehood. It's not real. So,
it goes back to there are no weeds, there are no weeds, there are no weeds, or I can weed my garden and make it look beautiful. Yes, there is fantasy. I mean, most people live their life in fantasy anyway. They live with wishing and hoping and wanting, not what they need to do inside to make from within to without. So it's all based on if this happens, could this happen, would this happen? So there is that kind of blind delusional stuff. But, come on, that's not what we're talking about when we're telling people to be positive.
Right.
That's just a way of painting with a wide brush everything underneath, which, is the goal of the psychological community anyway, to make everybody broken so that you require their services. So,
right.
Well, the natural
heinous.
habit is to try to be negative, but you should work that through with being positive about it. Like you said, like if you win the lottery and you're like, oh my goodness, I got to pay taxes on that, but you got to say, yeah, but I'm grateful that I'll have this extra money to do good and be able to pay taxes for those that can't. It's working out those negative kinks that people avoid to see the great, the Pollyanna, to see the good in what is possible, and not talk about that negative, because you can take that negative, like we were starting out negative and then we were turning it into positive. So I think, like you said earlier, about skipping all the bad thing to find the good, or find the negative to go over. That's the thing. The people don't talk about the negative stuff and turn it into the bright side of things, and we forget about the perspective of things and looking at those negative perspectives in the brighter side of those things. That though we need that negative in order to have the brightness, and vice versa, and bring more light to the positiveness of the negative, which then the negative diffuses and becomes more positive.
But
Some
people love to complain. So they're basically affirming the negative situation. So finding joy and happiness is the antithesis of being a complainer. So if we suggest to anybody watching this, if you find ways to be grateful for something, happy for something, thankful for something, when you're about to complain, when you notice you're going to fall into that trap again, it's like, oh, about the neighbors, about this, ask yourself, what can I find that I can be grateful for? Like I mentioned about the dining table. What can I find about this situation, this person, this neighbor, this thing that I can be grateful for?
Right. And that's the other thing. People forget, without seeing the depth of how something can be bad, you're not going to know that it could be good. And if something's good, you don't know how it could be bad. I mean, without having a gauge whatsoever, there is no gauge whatsoever. And therefore, how can you be grateful or not? You don't know. You don't. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, keep going.
So what I'm saying is that it's a great debate. It's a great topic, but yet you're always going to have somebody that's going to bitch about something, because they can't see it. And I mean, some of us were in debate teams, and we were put on both sides, and you can debate it on either way. But the point is I think that's what it comes down to. You should always be flexible and open-minded, and realize that depending on what side you need to be on, it's just like if you got a child, you're going to love that child no matter what. And you got to still love them, whether they're doing good or bad. And yet you've still got to somehow love them even when they do good and bad. So, yeah, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it's just the way you perceive things and the way you look at them. And you've got to be grateful, and not just do it on Thanksgiving, and not just do it the one day of the week. It's just,
so you made mention of some things, and one thing that I consider part of my job is dispelling myths, and that they talk about negativity bias. There's no such thing as a negativity bias. I don't know when they're going to finally get this. There's a survival bias, which means that your brain looks for things that would threaten your life, which we deem consciously as negative.
Right.
In other words, you're conscious, there's contrast in the world. There's hot and cold, light and dark, in and out, up and down, there's day, night, everything. There's the contrast. There's negative and positive. Every battery has both poles, so it's part of life, the good and the bad. There are right now there's a windstorm somewhere destroying trees, and there's
in Montana.
And there's sunny days somewhere else. But the point is, there's no such thing as a negativity bias, except for the fact that we are conditioned and trained to look for what's wrong and express what is wrong for the most part. So our reticular activating system, our brain, our disposition by default may be to notice and to enhance the things that are negative around us. But that is a conscious mind thing that becomes a subconscious habit, But it's not that you weren't born. There's nothing in your evolutionary makeup that says you have to be, you have a negativity bias. So, but you do have a survival bias, and you have the ability to judge and to say, I don't like this. And when people say they don't like it, then they consider it bad, or they consider it wrong, or they consider it evil, or they consider it negative, or they consider. So the judgment, if we stopped making judgments and could stay open, this is why I always say, enlightened people are around unenlightened people all the time, but it doesn't bother them. The people who are unenlightened are bothered by the people around them, but the unenlightened people are like, oh, if they all come to me, it doesn't matter. They're all so we are all enlightened, you just don't know it yet. So the point is,
ignorance is only bliss to the ignorant. I'm sorry.
Well, this is true, and a pain in the ass to everybody else. But lastly, I would say this. I pick on the psychological, psychiatric, and medical communities for a reason, because as long as people are broke, stuck, frustrated, angry, loathing, hating themselves or other people have an industry. As long as our hospitals and our doctors don't cure people but manage their illnesses, and maybe there are cases when that is truly necessary, but our medical model is an inferior model of health, and our psychological model is based on stupid notions. There's no ego or id or super ego. That was made up by Freud. And think about who Freud was. He had penis fascination and loved cigars and cocaine. I mean, this is the guy who we all adhere to.
That's my kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly. I like a guy who likes all those things too.
And by the way, you've never, ever, ever seen a picture of Freud smiling.
Never.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't. No, look at all the.
Well, hey,
no, you're true.
He is a miserable cuss.
Hey, ask AI to make one for you, and there will be made one. So
that's a good idea.
No, but wasn't it Groucho Marx that said sometimes a cigar is just a cigar? But the But the point being is these concepts are useful concepts to explain things about processes that work, but they don't make them real things. They aren't entities. You don't have entities occupying your head telling you you're a good person or a bad person, or I'm going to sabotage you, or I'm going to do this, or I'll show you, Mr. Sikes. It doesn't happen that way. These are neurological processes that are electrochemical in nature, that are wired as habits, and then we name them. So you can name your parts. I have this part of me that's Bob, and this part of me that's Sally, and this part of me is,
Rex, we've been doing this forever. What we do is we create something that we can blame for our condition. Yep. So, if, and I deal with it with people with alcoholism and drug addiction all the time. They say, my alcoholism is waiting for me to have a bad day and it's going to come and get me. Well, what are you talking about? You are alcoholism. It's your thinking and your habits and your reactions that is alcoholism. And if you change that, then it's not out in the parking lot doing push-ups trying to jump up and get you. We create the ego so that when we do something, my ego got in the way, or I've got to control. It's like, instead of just taking responsibility for our own thoughts and our own actions and our own perceptions, if I'm looking at something and it doesn't look good, I have the ability to step in a different direction, look at it from another side and say, oh, now I could see that. We all have the ability to change our perception, but we like to just keep what we have and find something to blame. I could blame ego. I could blame God. I could blame this. I could blame that. Yeah, there's a million things out there.
Anybody but yourself. Don't have one,
we'll create it. We'll create it. I'll blame Costco.
But Scott, my left foot won't let me. My left foot won't let me do that. My left foot is in control. Think about this. People think I'm a good person or I'm a bad person. And they take those thoughts as their identity, when those thoughts aren't who they are having those thoughts.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And until they understand that these thoughts aren't me, I am the thinker, and I get to choose which one of those I prefer, or neither of them. That's what the concept neti is, neither this nor that. But people identify with their problems, they identify with their limitations, they identify with their complaints and their neuroses and all these things, instead of simply saying, I am beyond all this. I am beyond all this, and not in the egotistical sense, but in the sense of, you're divine, I'm divine. That's what namaste means, is I honor the divine in you, with the idea that we all are that. And when we come from a place that says, I am not this, I am not my hand. I have a hand. My hand doesn't control me. I mean, although there was that movie, The Hand.
Indeed, there was.
And things like that. But that's how people live. That my thoughts are making me do this, or my neighbors are making me do this, or my this is making me do this, or my ego is making me do this, or my addiction's making me do this, or my what. It's always something.
Well, the things I underscore that is the fact is that most people, frankly, are unwilling, not incapable, but unwilling to be fully responsible for everything in their lives. Most people are in a place where they'd rather play victim. It's safer, frankly, to play victim because then you don't have to do any extra work. Being responsible for your whole life requires you to be responsible. It requires you to step up. It requires you to basically do the work to be in ownership of everything in your life. The power of that is amazing. But most people are scared because they feel like they're going to get derailed or they're going to fail or whatever it is. So again, they keep reinforcing the negativity as they play small, being the victim because it's safer, which is ridiculous, really.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So one thing, I love that because you're absolutely right on target. We're talking about fantasy and illusion and all this kind of stuff. Your fears are real if you accept your fears. But they're not real if you don't accept them. That doesn't mean if you're walking down a dark alley, you should just go, I mean, in other words, but you should walk down that dark alley confident if that's all you can do. In other words, you have to creep down the alley because that's where you find yourself. You're opening yourself up to potentially more harm than if you walk through the alley confident with the idea that I'll get through here safely. Then hopefully you don't find yourself in that situation. But my point is that the reason why people fear things or have bad things happen is because they think that they're real, but they're as imaginary as anything else.
Right.
But they accept them as real, and so hence they are real. It's kind of like the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Lion, the Cowardly Lion, were real when they weren't real.
Right.
Because, when she wakes up, she goes, and you were there, and you were there, and you were there. I mean, you know what I mean? In other words, there's this fantasy that we have that, our limitations and our difficulties and our negativity and all these things that we call are somehow like actual things when they're not, but they do seem that way if you don't do what Barry said, which is that you take accountability and responsibility. You understand that, hey, I am responsible for this, and I am also responsible for either doing something differently or doing it the same. But it's my choice, and as if I'm choosing to stay with my fear, then that's one thing. I have to accept it. If I choose to go, through my fears, that's another. But it is your choice, and that's what we're never told that in society.
No.
I learned something today about fear.
You did.
Yes, is that you cannot feel fear and gratitude at the same time.
Yep.
And I think that's big.
It is.
It's not only big, but it's rooted in science because two forms of matter can't occupy the same space.
There you go.
Speaking of fear, I was also going back to what Rex was saying about that, people trained to look for the wrong. And what I've noticed in like my workspaces is the people that had the lowest self-esteem and the lowest confidence in themselves were always complaining and finding things wrong with everybody else. And that was just a pain in the ass, honestly.
But if you are enlightened, that's not matter.
Right.
But our education, everything is all about look at the equation, tell me what's wrong. It's not, anybody can go through a day and do 30 things right during a day. And you know what? If you made it through your day, chances are you did more than 30 things right. You didn't step in front of a bus. You didn't crash your car. You didn't do this. There's all these right. But they'll look for that one wrong thing that they did. I said something wrong, or I wrote a wrong number, or I did something and I made a mistake. And that one thing will occupy all of that space. And it's amazing how we amplify the importance of mistakes or the importance of things that we don't like. We amplify the importance of those, and we minimize the importance of all the things that are good, all the things that we like.
What stage of our development does that happen?
You know what? It does. There is no stage of development where that happens. You know why? Because most people never take responsibility for the fact that they get to change that if they want to change it.
Well, you know,
it's not about. It would be great if we all turned 30 years old and had some sort of epiphany that we're all standing in Costco bitching and moaning about the line. Then we recognize the fact that, hey, there's other countries that'll never have this much toilet paper in their cart. Look at this. I got 120 rolls for $4. This is great. There's no epiphany that we have during that. Everybody's different. And I think for a lot of people, it's through tragedy that they start to figure out the good. It's a shame it has to happen. It had to happen with me. It had to be a complete tragedy before I was able to start saying, why is everything tragic? And then I started to realize not everything was. I used to think that God wanted me dead, that everything was out to kill me and everything happened to me. What I never realized is because of what I went through, I should have been dead, but I wasn't. And maybe all those horrible times I thought were the worst times of my life were actually the times when miracles were happening. And then I started shifting my thinking to, I'm not some victim. I'm a survivor. I'm somebody who survived something that kills most other people. And then once you start adopting that, it spreads to all other areas of your life. Everything has importance. Everything has a place. I love where I am right now. I love what I know about me and how I feel about myself. I like the friends I have in my life with you guys, and I like my life. This life would not have happened if everything that came before didn't happen. Mm-hmm. So how can I look at that and be grudging or think of negativity when I got to say, I am grateful that all that happened because it put me here. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Everybody doesn't have that epiphany, correct?
No, but what's very important about what you said is sometimes, like, I could go back in my life and go, well, if I had made this choice, it would have been different. But the answer to that is no, because you didn't make that choice.
Right.
And now you can go, if I had only done something different, life would have been different, but you didn't have that opportunity at the time. You made the choice that you made it the choice, accept it, get on with it, and live with it. So what I want to add to what you said, because I think it's really beautiful, is one thing is you hear these stories about the guy or the gal that goes in and solves the math problem on the board that's a problem that can't be solved. Because they didn't know that that's what it was. So they came in, they just thought it was an exercise. They solved it and went home. Eureka! This gal has solved this problem, and this was an unsolvable problem for all these years. Well, that should tell us something. That because they didn't realize it was a problem that couldn't be solved, they solved it.
Right.
Because all of their researchers are working on, well, this is an exercise, they have to solve it and everything else. What's the number one way you make money in business? Solving problems. Which implies what? That everybody has problems and that you could make money solving the problems, which is not wrong. But they don't go, what's the number one way to make people feel incredible, make them feel wonderful, have them delighted, have them happy, have them delirious, have them rich, have them this, have them that. It's go in and solve problems. What happens to you in school when you're growing up? You get tested where there are problems and or you get things wrong and they have to be made right. You have to fix them, correct them, solve them, do something. So our world is set up for us to look for problems. This is why there's no negativity bias inherent in us, but it comes through our conditioning. And then the rest of our life we spent, well, the more problems you can solve, the more you can do this. And then everybody goes, well, I have these problems, but I don't know how to solve them. So they go to a therapist, they go to this, they go to the coach, help them with their problems because they don't know what to do. And it's like, you know what? Go back to what Barry said. Take responsibility, take accountability, understand you have a choice. You may not feel now like you can live that way, but you could if you didn't think that way, which is what happened when the person walked in and solved the problem. They weren't thinking that there was something wrong.
Right. So my father was a consultant for insurance companies for years, and he would fly into places and work there for 6 or 8 weeks. And we had to save money in this area. He redesigned their departments. He went to one place and they said, we need to streamline and make our complaint department more efficient. And my father,
so they're complaining about their complaint.
He says, why don't you reduce the number of complaints? How about if you do that? It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Obvious, but not obvious to Captain Obvious.
So I don't like insurance. I think it's one of the biggest scams, along with attorneys and the medical field.
Absolutely.
All right, but here's the thing about insurance that you should know: they're betting you will pay all this money and never need it.
Yep.
They're betting on your
Absolutely.
behalf. They're betting that you won't have a problem, you won't have an accident, your house won't be torn off in a tornado or a flood or whatever. They're betting on you just giving them money every month.
Well, let's take it further. How backwards we are as a country, as a planet. Your value, your net value, is based on how much debt you can carry, not on what you can do or anything else. It's based on how much debt you can carry, and if you're not carrying debt, you're not worth as much. And if you have great amounts of money, you pay less for things than people who have no money, who have to pay more for things.
Yeah, makes no sense.
It's a complete mess. It's a backwards world.
So in addition to that, at one time, nobody paid rent. You were born on this planet. You lived on the planet. You could travel wherever you wanted. There were no borders. There was nothing. So all of this stuff about debt and problem and borders and psychology and politics and everything is human-made. It's all a fiction. It's like somebody wrote a bad novel and we're living from that novel. And then they go, well, you can't fix it. There's only capitalism and that's great. Or there's socialism and that's not so good. And there's communism and that's really bad. What if there were a whole new kind of economy that made everyone wonderfully rich and fabulously living great? Well, you say, well, that's not possible. No, but neither was that problem on the board.
That's right.
That's why I love Star Trek.
Yes. And flip phones.
Yeah.
Roddenberry was a visionary about what life could be like. And the thing is, we haven't got there yet. I keep fingers crossed we'll get there at some point. But yeah, definitely possible.
Well, you have to, in order to be active in a reality, you have to first conceive of that reality. And the problem that we have right now is that our politicians globally aren't conceiving of that reality.
No.
People might start beginning to see it, but meanwhile, there's the confrontation between the negative and the dark side, the contrast that's going on. But the possibility of emerging with a new vision through all of this weirdness is what we should be grateful for.
Well, about Iceland, what they did a few years ago, where they put the bankers in jail. Yeah. They basically completely flattened out the whole debt system in Iceland, restarted it, and they reorganized their politicians. So it can be possible.
And yes, and I would submit to you,
which we got 4 minutes.
Well, we should follow Iceland's example.
Yes. Absolutely.
So let's only elect politicians who go pro Iceland, and figure out a way to do it for us.
Well, before any of that happens, we have to stop setting up scapegoats that we can blame all of our problems on, and everybody be responsible for making their households, their families, their communities, their neighbors, their friends, their coworkers, making it better for all of us. And we all have a responsibility in that. Until everyone takes responsibility, we're still going to live in a system where I'm going to elect somebody who's going to be my scapegoat for all the shit that goes wrong in life. So, and as long as I'm going to put people like that in power, and anybody who runs for political office probably should not hold political office. It's just, that should be like the first thing. If you want to be president, you don't qualify to be president. We've got to do a wrap up now. So let's kind of go around the horn and talk about, Thanksgiving's coming up. Maybe just final thought, or, finishing thoughts.
We talked about everything but Thanksgiving.
That's okay.
Yeah, but this is what it's all about. It's about shifting perspectives, I think.
That's right.
Kellen, what do you say, darling?
I have 22 things I'd like to talk about.
Holy shit. She has been
all right. I love it.
Pick the best one.
Well, I'm just going to reiterate, because you can't feel gratitude and fear at the same time. That changed my day today. And then I just opened up to my journal, and I'm just going to read a gratitude thing. It says, and this is from Doris Day. Some people may not. I'm aging.
I love her.
Oh, we got it.
Gratitude is riches. Complaint is poverty. That's
I love that.
Love it.
Nice. I like that.
I'm short and sweet today.
Oh, that was all 22 thoughts into one. I love it.
You're so awesome.
I meant 22 words.
Kellen, as always, I tell you, we have gratitude for the energy that you bring us, and the humor, and just the goodness. I mean, we need more people like you in the world, Kellen.
I love you. She really gave me this beautiful crown.
Barry, what do you say, my friend?
I'm going to reiterate a couple of things too. In fact, I'll give everybody a homework assignment. Your assignment, if you choose to accept it, like Mission Impossible, although this is Mission Possible for sure, is anybody you're challenged by, find one thing you can be grateful to them for. Doesn't be somebody you can meet tomorrow or Thursday on Thanksgiving. Anybody in your life could be an ex-partner, could be your current partner, could be a parent, could be a child, could be the police officer that may pull you over. Any of those things. What can you be grateful for to them? You don't say it out to them. It's for yourself. Being clear about that.
Thank you for being an asshole and teaching me patience. Thank you.
Thanks for giving me the patience of Job.
It's a starting point. But the thing about it is if you want to tell them, you can, of course.
Yeah.
But it's really for yourself to start noticing, because when you start doing that, you notice other places you'll be grateful as well.
Absolutely.
So,
thank you. Rex?
I love that.
I'm grateful for all of you guys and the opportunity to share these thoughts together and express ourselves, and for all the people who watch, pop in, pop out, because it's us, not just here, but all the people who pop in and pop out, and the people who watch, and the people who embrace a positive attitude, that we can change the world. We can live a better way. And so together we are making that happen.
Oh, Rex, I love that.
I'm glad I didn't have to follow him.
Oh.
And Barry, for that assignment, I do that all the time. I'm always grateful to say that I love having those people in my life to be an example of how and not to be. They are an example how and not to be. So I'm always thankful for that, and I always take from that and file that to that. And I'm always thankful for you guys to be here, and blessed by you guys. Love you guys so much, and I wish everybody every day a lot of gratitude and happiness in your heart. And remember, we don't know when our last day is, and we don't know our last day will speak to each other. So we should always have some kind words for each other, because we only have this moment, every moment. And so I love every one of you guys. You're beautiful. This is this is just a blessing to always have this Tuesdays with you. As long as we have them, I'm blessed. So thank you so much.
And you guys are saving me a fortune in therapy bills by doing the show with us. So I appreciate it.
Welcome.
I always appreciate it. You guys are the best. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and my gratitude and love to all of you guys.
All right, you guys, have a good one. We'll see you next week.
Keeping me safe.